Here we go. So I'm going to take over the screen here. Is there anything I need to hide? No, we're good. We're good. All right. So I'm inside my Google Ads account. Everybody see my screen? Yes. Okay. Here we go. So we're going to come into the tools. We're going to come to the planning. We're going to go to the keyword planner. And you're going to go find a couple of the keywords that matter to your market. So we're going to
Ooh,
discover
this
the
is
new
gold.
keywords. We're going to go ahead and so right here, we're at the discover new keywords. We're going to go into the market that we're looking at. So we're actually going to look at only the Raleigh area. Obviously, be fair to yourself. So if you are in a smaller market, then you're going to need to expand outside of your city. You're going to have to expand to whatever's around. For this case, because we're targeting a pretty big metro area, we're going to stick to Raleigh only, and then we're going to type in a couple keywords. I'm gonna give you kind of what I would do in this normal situation is do a couple keywords like this, and then I would do one city keyword. Google Ads is going to bring in a couple other relevant ones. My main focus here is I want to get an understanding of what's the average cost per click. So
What's your timeline you're doing this? Are you just looking at the last year, the last month, the last 5 years?
I just want to get a screenshot of where we're at realistically. It's been pretty consistent and it's going to be always trending up. Google's always going to be charging a little bit more month over month on Google
Mm.
Ads clicks because it's better. It's prime real estate and it's only getting more and more valuable, right? So that cost per click has only ever increased. If any of you have been running Google Ads for a long time, you know exactly what I'm talking about because you started Google Ads and it was $5 cost per click and now you're sitting at 25, 30, and it's pretty bad. So here we go. We've got our keyword planner here. We've got a couple keywords. We've got some average monthly searches. Just to give you a quick walkthrough, 3-month change of what we've seen demand wise, year over year change. All these stuff is helpful insight. Realistically, what you're looking for to get an understanding of your average cost per click is going to be your top of page bid low range and your top of page bid high range. Now, reason why Google gives you this is they're giving you a clue that top of page is the part that matters. You don't want to necessarily be on the bottom of the page. You want to be top of page. So at the lowest demand or lowest volume time frame or at the range, you're going to be spending $13, which is your highest one for the key term Raleigh movers. On the flip side, at your most demanding,
Probably
at prime
summertime.
time, at prime time,
Probably summertime.
summertime, we're talking about probably 2 to 6 p.m. prime time in the summertime. You're talking $40 per click. Okay.
Now, I do want to note for those of you watching, what he didn't mention is a month period. What he mentioned is a season, a specific day, and a specific hour at a specific city. That's how complicated this auction goes, down to the hours you're bidding. Moving on.
And also these are averages as well. So and there might be a time at 3 p.m. on a Friday or Wednesdays actually. Tuesdays and Wednesdays tend to be the most competitive days. That's I guess when days are people are looking to move. Tuesday, Wednesday at 2 p.m., 3 p.m. That click actually might be $45. But at 8 a.m. it might be on the next day, it might be 32, right? So that's the range that we're talking about. That's what we're looking at is a percentage here. So when you're calculating an ideal budget for the market of Raleigh, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, okay, I see 29, I see 31, I see 40. I know that the key term Raleigh movers is important. I'm going to go ahead and split the difference here between these. And I'm going to say 35 is going to be the number. And I want to be top of page. If I'm starting Google Ads, I want to be ready to spend money to participate in the auction. Again, why is that? Top of page is what's getting the clicks, and I need to get data. And even if you have a small budget, you still want to be able to spend money to be on the top of the page. What you don't want to do is be on the bottom of the page because then your ad is just showing and nobody's looking at it, nobody's clicking on it. And then you're just waiting for results. So if I'm going to start Google Ads in the Raleigh market in a week, I'm going to look at 29, 31, 40. I'm going to say $35, and then I'm going to do my little calculation. So I'm going to do 35 times 10. Why is 10? Because I want to be able to afford, I want to be able to show Google, I want to tell Google that I can afford 10 clicks per day. Why is that? Because when I start Google Ads, I want to see almost a 10% conversion rate, which means I want to get one conversion a day. So right now we're at 350, and then we're going to do that by the month because we're only at 10 clicks per day, but we want to be able to repeat that throughout the month. Google's official number for the month is 30.4. That's how they do their algorithm. That is the budget. That is the ideal budget you would want going into the Raleigh market, running local residential keywords
To win.
to win again. And winning is going to be month one. I'm going to get all this data. Google has no idea what I'm looking for. But we're going to get all this data. You're going to get a really solid performance in month one. And then month two, we're going to start to hit the optimization strategies. Month two and
Yeah.
month three is where we start to get profitable.
And within internally at Rotate Digital, if you start Google Ads with us, month one, the goal is to break even at a minimum. That's like a goal. And then month two and three is where you start getting into the profitability zone. Now, Tracy, yes. So she asked a great question here. 2,500 to 3,000. So would that be ineffective based off your opinion on what you see here?
Yeah. Yeah,
Any,
I think the hard part is that if you do 2,500, so let's take that by a daily budget because you're gonna have to split that 2,500 into a daily budget. I'm gonna bring out my calculator again. So I'm gonna take 2,500, I'm gonna go backwards. I'm gonna go divided by 30.4, which means I have $82 as a daily budget per day, and the average cost per click is $35. That means that every single day I can afford approximately two and something clicks. Now, Google's not going
on
to
average, just so you
give,
know,
yeah,
that is an average. Some days you might get 5 clicks, some days you might get
yeah.
0 clicks, some days you might get 1 click.
Google now with those 2.5, 2.7 clicks at a conversion rate of 10%, it's going to take Google a long time to figure out what you're actually looking for. So at this point, when you do this kind of Google ads, you're basically just playing in the auction without any real clear vision or information or data in Google's eyes of what a real opportunity is for your business. You're just bidding in the auction and you're bidding only purely on a keyword level, which is you're participating, you're in the room, but you actually really like Google has no understanding of what you're looking for, which means you really don't have an opportunity to win. My fear in this situation, make it really nice black and white for you, Tracy, my fear is if you go $2,500 even for 6 months in the Raleigh market, you will not even break even on that 6 month time frame.
So 18,000 plus or minus spend with the chance of getting $18,000 in revenue, not including all the cost to do every move, which is probably 40% cost. So you're losing a
Yeah.
lot of money. And it's like, well, what could have 18? So now the question is, when we come to business aspect is now, what could have we done with $18,000 over 6 months? If we're going to barely try to break even, what could we have done with $18,000? What would have that done if we spent $18,000 on realtor lunches every single month? And that's where Jennifer had a great question. Can you be more targeted in a
Yeah.
specific area?
Yeah, it's a great question, but honestly, it's kind of like we're at the same kind of standstill is when you start to target specific areas, then you start to get to okay, well, we have the volume here to support our campaigns in Raleigh. We start to step outside of Raleigh. We go to I forget some of the suburbs, but we step outside of Raleigh. We target some specific areas, and actually we get this a lot. So this might actually relate to you. Well, I only want to target the high revenue markets. I only want to hit the specific suburbs. Again, the problem is one, if you don't have the budget to support it, that's a problem. But two, even if you have a budget, the reality is the search volume in those areas for those specific markets is lower. And again, you're going to get to a point where you have the budget, but the search volume there isn't going to support your 10 clicks per day that you need in that first month, which means, again, you're going to be participating in the auction for a long time without that optimization of what is a real opportunity for my business. And so we see this a lot actually. And I understand this pain point as a business owner, right? We've mentioned Austin a couple times, and every Austin moving company is like, I want moves out of Bee Cave. Every Austin moving company knows what I'm talking about. I want moves out of Bee Cave. Well, the problem is there's like 10 people who live in Bee Cave. Now their houses are phenomenal, and those job opportunities, the revenue collected from those are great. Problem is the volume is so low, it's going to take you so long to be able to really run efficient Google ads in that marketplace. And again, now we're coming back to the idea of you're putting $18,000 in and you're still not at a point where you're running efficient Google ads that are backed by data, not just only data collected by Google ads, but also backed by offline conversion tracking. That's a whole other topic, but yeah, so that's a great question. That's a big pain point for sure. We've heard it, we know it, and it is that same problem.
Yeah, and let me say a sum up of everything, and we'll let everyone go. But let me say a sum up to conclude this, which will be now a YouTube video. Let me sum this up, and then Travis fill in any of the color that needs to be summed up or
Go for
colored
it.
up, filled up, whatever it is. Uh, would you say here then to someone like Jennifer or Tracy or Stanley, hey, 90% of the time you will fail if you spend less than seven to $10,000 in the Raleigh market, but there's a chance you could be the 10%. So if you have that money and that risk tolerance, you could try it. But that's just a hard reality of Google Ads today in today's economy, in today's economy with moving owners. Or would you say no, 100% of the time? Like how would you put that? Time to move on, spend the money somewhere else, or hey, if you really want to go for it, we're just letting you know historical data that we've experienced. You can go for it and try your best.
I think that if we're talking about those kinds of budgets, I think that 9 times out of 10, you will fail. I think there's an opportunity to win. For example, if there's a reality, like we're talking about 15, 20 conversions in a month. Realistically, there's luck. You could get lucky. You could have a phenomenal sales performance in that month. And if you close those opportunities, you can end up on the positive. How consistently can you do that? Right. So I think that there's a very small chance of winning. The hard part is I think the opportunity value that you have with that $3,000 that we alluded to of like, well, how could I have invested that money differently? I mean, there's so many different marketing channels that $3,000 is more than enough to really start getting something started and then really
Mm-hmm.
roll. Again, realtor is a great example. Mailers, I mean, if you haven't tried mailers, you should. And if you've tried mailers and they didn't work, well, did you short it or is there an opportunity to try again with somebody else? I think that there's some opportunities for you in your local market to invest that money, even if it's not realtors, like local business, partnerships and things like that. Um, I think that there's just an opportunity value that you should kind of bring into the calculation. There's nothing wrong with going on Google Ads. If you have a smaller budget, you can also try LSA. Everybody has an opinion on LSA, right? That's another avenue. The reason why that's beneficial is because those are specific like leads that you get from day one. You don't have to optimize for that, right? It's a very surface level algorithm, whereas Google Ads is super deep. It's like 10,000 feet deep. And so LSA is also a great opportunity for you to try. If you want to try a $3,000 ad spend budget, LSA is a great place. But there's other revenue channels as well. There's service providers, there's networks, there's Yelp and things like that. Like there are plenty of opportunities. I think it's worth a try. But if you've already tried the Google Ads thing and it hasn't worked out for you, then I think you already have your answer and you should look somewhere else with that kind of budget.
Yeah. So the flow is 9 times out of 10, you're going to fail. If you're going to take a $3,000 budget and you want to do ads, start with Google LSA. That'll be your better opportunity to get a better result. And if not, the suggestion is where could that go that it gets better leverage somewhere else? Realtor lunches, sponsoring ship, etc. So this is great.
Right. But all this, I did want to encourage because it's been very like, oh, this is a Debbie Downer. I did want to encourage. I actually looked at a client and I looked at their April to December numbers. And so I actually did some math here and I'm going to read off because I have the sheet in front of me. But I don't want to obviously talk about a client. But I went through their numbers today and I went through their CRM and I went through their Google Ads. And basically what we have to sum up the year from April to December, they spent $42,000 in Google ad spend. This is a really great story. They spent $42,000 in Google ad spend. They collected $165,000 in Google ad spend revenue, in Google Ads revenue. So that comes out to a 3.9, very, very close to a 4 times ROAS. Things are really efficient. Things are really good. It's not a crazy monthly ad spend. It's, right now it's around $4,000 or $5,000 monthly, which is great. That's a good place to be at. They had 127 different closed opportunities. So they spent $330 for that opportunity. They did some COGS. And what they ended up doing is they profited around $500 per move. So they actually got $65,000 in profit from Google Ads this last year. So there's an
Amazing.
opportunity. There's an opportunity to go
Profit.
in.
Bottom line profit.
Bottom line profit. So there's an opportunity to go in. So this is not a Debbie Downer. You can't win in Google Ads. It is tough. It is very difficult. This is also a company that has a pretty good sales operation in their company, and that does play a big role as well. But I did want to encourage you. The opportunity is there. You just want to be wise, and I think that's the message of today. Really.
Be wise. Be the $8 million moving company, not the $2 million moving company. Thank you guys all for staying so much longer. We might have to just do like a whiskey or a coffee session, open mic, let Travis kind of go, ask him questions, share screens if you guys would like that. Let us know if this has been helpful today. Put it in the chat. Let Travis and I know that this was helpful today. I want to thank you guys for being here today. Thank you for spending your super valuable time with us at the beginning of the year.
Yes.
My hope is that you get to walk away more encouraged for 2026, more excited to take action, take it with speed, get people with outcomes, and beat your competitors and take 2026 for the win. Thank you guys for staying. Thank you for your time. I look forward to all the future webinars. We will see you on the other side. Thank you and have a wonderful rest of the week. And we'll see you next time. Bye.